Underwoods Skoda in Colchester have kindly lent me this Skoda Fabia for review. It rivals cars like the Renault Clio, the Ford Fiesta and the Vauxhall Corsa, and it comes in 5 trim levels. The most basic level is the S. That starts at £15,300. Then we move up to this one, the SE Comfort. Bit of a price jump, £17,200. Then there's the colour edition, the SEL, and then the top of the range Monte Carlo. That one starts at £20,700. Now you've had a good look at the car, let me know in the comments how you think it looks. There are some nice smart LED headlights. I like the rear lights, which are sharp. They're 3D and come to a point here, and they have X's in the interior which give it a crystal-like appearance. I like the gloss black boot spoiler, and I like this line that starts at the headlight, goes down the side of the car, right the way around the back and to the other end. I'm not such a fan of these wheels. They are an optional extra. The standard wheels look better in my opinion. And I'm not such a fan of this grille. They just keep getting bigger, and most of it is blanked off. Doesn't need a grille this big. It's just the fashion these days. Fashion may change, but beauty doesn't. Most Skoda Fabias are going to be sold with a 1 litre 3-cylinder petrol engine. There are no diesels available. There are 4 variants of this 1 litre engine. 2 of them don't have a turbo, and they both take over 15 seconds to get from 0 to 60 miles per hour, so try before you buy. The other 2 do get a turbo. One has 95 PS of power and 175 Newton meters of torque, and the other more powerful version gets 110 PS of power and 200 Newton meters of torque. But there's not a lot of difference between them. The lower powered version gets from 0 to 60 miles an hour in 10.6 seconds, and the higher power version does it in 10 seconds, so only a 0.6 second between the two. But the more powerful version does get the 6-speed manual and an option to have a DSG automatic. There's also a 1.5 4-cylinder petrol available, but that comes with only the DSG automatic. That has 150 PS of power and 250 Newton meters of torque and gets from 0 to 60 miles an hour in 8 seconds. But it is £1,800 more than the 1 litre automatic. I think all cars should have this feature. The screen wash cap doubles up as a funnel so you don't spill screen wash on your engine bay. Cheap, yet effective. How easy is it to get comfortable in the front of this car? We will see. Door opens a lot, nearly 90 degrees there. What about this seat? Is it comfortable? Well, it's supportive, yet soft. The material doesn't feel very premium, but I don't expect it to on this trim level. And I do have lumbar support, which feels nice. Let's move the seat all the way back. I can press the pedals about halfway, but I couldn't operate the car. All the way forwards. Oh, I can't actually get it all the way forwards. I certainly couldn't operate the car like this. So yeah, the seat goes forwards enough for most people, I'm sure. Where do I want it? About there. How low does it go? Quite low. A lot of adjustment here, and that is 3 hands width of space between my head and the ceiling. That's a lot. How high? That is a big range in height. Lots of adjustment there. And now I have just 1 hand's width of space between my head and the ceiling. Where do I want it? About 3/4 of the way up. Steering wheel, in and out, about an average amount, up and down. About an average amount. I want it most of the way out and about halfway up. And the seat belt, that has height adjustment up and down, so it doesn't cut into your neck. What about the back? Let's open the door. Door opens, not as wide as the front. That driver's seat is in my 5'10", 178 centimeters driving position. I'm going to see how comfortable this seat is back here. Easy to get in despite the door not opening as wide as I would hope, because it's a nice shape. And the seat is, oh, that's uncomfortable. What's that? Head restraint is down, so that's digging into my back. I'll move that up. Oh, that's good. Seat feels similar to the front, nice and supportive, same fabric. I can easily get my feet under the seat in front, and I have about a fist's worth of knee room and about a hand's worth of headroom. I'm very impressed, there's a lot of space back here. The boot on this car is a little bit more than impressive. 380 litres. That's normal from a car in the size class above this one. And it's a useful shape, a nice square with some tie down points, somewhere to hang some bags, and this elastic thing, not sure what you would do with that. Maybe put a bottle of water in there. Let's see what it's like with the seats down. Let's remove the parcel shelf. That's easy. Feels a little bit cheap if I'm honest, but then it is a cheap car. Let's fold these down. There is a big step where the seats are, but that's 1,200 or just under 1,200 litres of space in the back of your Super Mini. Check this out, inside the fuel filler cap there is an ice scraper that doubles up as a magnifying glass. Who would have thought? Such a good idea. In some Skodas you get an umbrella that's hidden in the door jamb, although I can't find it on this one. Lucky it's not raining. I'm now going to show you the interior, and I'm going to start with this steering wheel. It looks a bit odd because it looks like it's a 3-spoke steering wheel, but it's actually a 2-spoke. I do like it though, because having this space here means there's more space for me to put my hand, which makes it easier to drive. And you have these really nice chrome knurled wheels, which you turn. They feel premium. You can push them in as well to mute and unmute whatever it is you're listening to. You can skip your tracks here, and you have voice activation there. Another knurled wheel to cycle through whatever is on this screen here, and you can control what's on this screen with these buttons here. So you have different options there. Driving data, you push it in to select, and this button here controls your assistance systems like lane assist and front assist, and you can deselect and turn them on and off with this button. Moving on to the door, I will say the plastics are fairly cheap feeling, but it is a cheap car. You do have somewhere to rest your elbow here, and that is nicely padded. I'm not so sure about this thing though. This looks like something out of a disabled toilet, but it does work. At first I thought, what on earth is that? But when I closed the door, it made sense. When you have a handle here, you have to reach further forward when the door is open. Having it here means it's that bit closer. You don't have to stretch to close the door when it's fully open. The door bins, fairly decent size. You can put half a litre bottle down there, no problem. We'll be able to fit a bigger bottle if needed, probably even a 2-litre bottle. And there's lots of dots dotted around the place. You see these dots here from the speaker grill, but there's also dots there. And this area where the door handle is also easy, because usually there's like some plastic here and you have to kind of get your fingers in, but because there's all this space here, it's really easy just to open the door. There's so much space to get your hand in there. Moving on to this air vent, you have more dots around the side of the air vent, and these lines in the middle kind of reminds me of a turbine. And then you get this plastic that runs the width of the car alongside the touchscreen and then into the other air vent. More dots around here and more dots down here on the rubber mat. Moving to this touchscreen, I'm really impressed with this touchscreen. It's very responsive and it's high resolution. See? And it's there. And when you want to move the screen, it moves. Can't complain about that. It's not the biggest, but it doesn't need to be. It's big enough. And then we have these vertical lines here again on these vents. These are quite low for front-facing vents, but I prefer them that way because they get your body, and that's more effective than your face. And if you do want them off you, you can push them up like this so they're not in your face or your body. Let's move down now to these basic heater controls. We all know how these work, nothing wrong with these. Now the gear knob, that feels nice. It's square instead of round. Nice feeling lever. Some piano black plastic around the place here, which is not ideal because it will get scratched. This button is because this car can park itself. Parking sensors, locking the doors, and the stop start on and off. Unfortunately, my phone does not fit in this bit here with the rubber mat because it's just too stupid and too big, but the glove box is damped and it does fit in there, and I can close the glove box and the wire still goes in there, no problem. Handbrake, again, nice lever, feels good. Nice and light, easy to use, and we have some cup holders down here and some storage there, and that's where your 12-volt socket is. I'll just get my bottle and show you. Half a litre bottle, no problem, no problem. A small one in the middle, maybe for like one of those innocent smoothies, and you fit it in there if you want as well, so you could have quite a bit of water with you whilst you're driving. You have a Fabia emblem. Is that an emblem? I don't know what you call that, not an emblem, an imprintation here on the side of the dashboard. And this piano black here does look nice, and I quite like that because that's not where you touch, so it's not going to get scratched up. And this clip, something Skodas have had for ages to put your parking ticket. Why all cars don't have this, I don't know. Do they have a patent or something? So they're the only ones that can do it? You have another one down here, which could be useful, and somewhere to put your pen there. Up here, lights for either side, and decent sized sun visor with a mirror. No light though on this car. What do we have here? Just what I thought, somewhere to put your sunglasses, and in fact looks like you can fit a couple of pairs of sunglasses in there. Something I'm not so happy about though is this. This is a speed limiter. Now I don't have a problem with speed limiters. They're actually useful because you can set the limit you want and you don't have to worry about going over the speed limit. But this car has all the hardware and the software it needs, and this is the same stick that I have on my Leon for cruise control. So it has everything it needs for cruise control, yet the cruise control isn't switched on. They're going to make you pay extra for it, which I guess is fair enough. That's how the world works, but I do find it a little bit annoying that it's all there, but it's just not switched on. Here we have dials, and on different models you actually get a 10.2 inch virtual cockpit, which is like a LCD display which you can configure. And we have a proper switch for your lights, not those capacitive buttons which don't always work properly, particularly when you've got gloves on, and some secret storage for whatever you want to put down there. The rear is simple yet effective. It is comfortable, and you get the same plastics at the back as you do at the front. This bit is a little bit disappointing. It looks like a nice padded area, but it's rock solid, and you get keep fit windows in this car. But the keep fit windows do at least go all the way down. You don't see that every day. If there's one word I can use to sum this car up, and that would be space, because there's lots of it, especially back here. And as the floor is so far away from the seats, it's like you're sitting on a proper chair. You've not got your legs in the air like this, which is less comfortable. I could do a long journey in this and be happy. Now it's time to drive it. I'm going to start off with manoeuvring. Gear stick feels nice. I'm going to try and turn the car around. Let's see how many times I need to turn this wheel for fully turned. That's 1, 1.3, and the turning circle feels a bit better than average. And to go from fully lock to fully lock doesn't take too long. Reverse, easy to select. And this car has an optional extra, the Parking Plus system. So it can park itself, but it also can sense what's close to you all around the car, not just the front and the back. And I'll show you that with a wall just over here. You'll be able to see on the screen that as I go near this wall at the front side, it starts telling me, oh look, don't get any close to that wall, but it's saying it's at the front of the car. And as I go forwards and the wall becomes more alongside the car, it shows you here exactly what's happening. See? And then when I get further away, it goes off. Unfortunately, the wing mirrors don't automatically dip when you put it in reverse. So I'm going to put it in reverse now. And if you watch the wing mirror, see, it doesn't dip. Which is a shame, because that does make reversing a lot easier, turn those reverse sensors off. However, rear visibility is a lot better than usual. So overall, I would say this car is easier to park than average. Now I'm going to launch it and see what it's like on a twisty road. So first gear, no one's coming, try not to wheel spin, some revs. Oh, bogged down a little bit. Now we're going. That's 30 miles an hour in first. Didn't give enough revs, and that's about 60 miles an hour there. Feels quicker than the 10.6 second 0 to 60 time suggests. And this lane keep assist thing's really annoying me, because it keeps trying to push me into the gutter. So I can turn that off like so, that button. There we go. And that'll stop that happening. See what a rev match is like. That's easy. Around the bend. Yeah, pleasant. It leans a bit, but it is comfortable. That's how I would describe driving this car, actually. That's a good word for this car. It is pleasant. It's not sporty. It's just nice. Brakes. Yep, they feel all right. A little bit soft at the top end, a bit of dead travel there. What about heel and toe if you're interested? So I'm going to brake now, second gear, rev with the side of my foot. Oh, that's nice, easy to do that. And accelerate in third gear, 60 mile an hour limit. There we go, slowing down for the 40. I wouldn't call this car fun, but it's all right. Gets the job done. If you want to get from A to B and you want space, lots of space for a good price, this car doesn't really go wrong. I'm now going to drive this car to a dual carriageway through town. I'm going to tell you what it's like to drive in town, and I've just reset the fuel economy to see how it does. On this journey, if it does more than 40 to the gallon, it's done very well. I'm now going to pull over and try out the stop-start system. So stop at the side of the road here, into neutral and off the clutch, and it stops with a little bit of a shudder. Now to start it, clutch down, you hear the starter motor do a couple of chugs, again there's a bit of a shudder and then it fires into life. Not the ideal kind of stop-start system, it's the sort of system I normally turn off. Mild hybrid systems are a lot better and I tend to leave those on. The clutch pedal is light, as are the other pedals, and the gear stick is easy to use, you know where it is. I like the driving position. The steering wheel feels like it's in a good place. It's not off center or not tilted too much. It's comfortable, and I get a good view out of the windows, and the wing mirrors are big enough so I can see clearly what's coming up alongside me. I wouldn't guess this is a 3-cylinder engine because it's smooth, and often engines with only 3 cylinders tend to shake the car a little bit, particularly at idle. But this one, I wouldn't know. However, the sound gives it away. When you rev it hard, you get the distinctive thrum, which actually is quite pleasing. The 0 to 60 time of 10.6 seconds sounds slow compared to how this car feels because it has a turbo and 175 Newton meters of torque. So when you put your foot down, even when the revs are quite low, it is punchy. It does push you up the road. It's dealing with the bumps like a bigger car. This car does remind me of my Seat Leon, which is very similar to a Golf. It's not quite as smooth, but it is almost there. For a car in this segment, in this size and price, it feels grown up. It feels like you're driving a car from the class above. It is a little bit like a Golf. That's not a bad thing. In fact, I'm going to take that back. It's not a little bit like a Golf. In terms of how it drives, it's a lot like a Golf. Where this 1 litre does struggle is when you're below 1,500 RPM, like I am now. I'm at 1,100 RPM, foot to the floor. Nothing, 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 nothing. 2,000, and then it goes. So anything below 2,000 RPM, there's just no power there. In fact, it struggles, but the 1.5 litre doesn't have that difficulty. With the 1.5 litre, it doesn't rocket you up the road when you're at such a low RPM, but it doesn't struggle either. It's much more flexible, which is part of the problem with having a very small engine with a turbo. Unless the turbo's working, you don't have power. But when the turbo does work, you do have power. Keep it above 2,000 RPM and this thing is punchy. It's quite quick, feels quite quick. Okay, I've got 37.3 mpg on that town journey. It was particularly bad that time though, it was very congested, so that's not too bad. Now I'm on a slip road, let's put my foot down in 3rd gear, let's get going, reset the fuel economy again to see how it does on a motorway or a 70 mile an hour road. Can't accelerate too fast because I have a truck in front of me, a couple of trucks actually. In 3rd gear at 3,000 RPM, so I have some power. If I change lane now and put my foot down, there we go, we do have power, 60 and 70 miles an hour straight into fifth. When the revs are high, it does get going. I'm at 60 miles an hour in top gear, slightly uphill, foot flat to the floor. Actually, it's about 55. Accelerating, I've got 60 now. Coming up to 65, there's 65 and 70. Now I've got to slow down because I'm catching up with the car in front. So it doesn't throw you up the road in top gear at these speeds, but I don't expect it to. But I don't need to change down a gear if I want to accelerate. I can just leave it in top gear and can cruise along these roads and speed up and slow down between 55 and 70 miles an hour, no problem. I'm hearing next to no wind noise and very little tyre noise. This is actually a quiet car. Well, it's a bit louder now on this different road surface, but it's quieter than I'm used to from a small car in this price point. It is refined. Again, pleasant and clever. I've been driving on this 70 mile an hour road now for around about 10 miles at speeds of between 55 and 70 miles an hour. And I've also left and come back onto the main road again twice, just so I can do a burst of acceleration to make the fuel economy a bit more fair. And I've averaged 58.7, or just gone to 58.6 miles to the gallon. That's impressive. It's now on 58.9 actually, because I am slowing down a little bit. I'm very impressed with that. And if you're interested, at 70 miles an hour, it revs at 2,500 RPM, 59.1 miles per gallon now. If I didn't leave this main road and come back on, given the burst of acceleration, I'd reckon this would be in the 60s. I think it definitely would be in the 60s. I'm now going to try this automatic parking feature. So I've pressed the P, I'm indicating left. Is it going to pick up these spaces? It's not picking up any spaces. Aha, saying go forwards, go forwards. Now it's telling me to stop. Now I'm going to put it into reverse and see what happens. Doesn't look right to me, so I'm going backwards now. Looking round, I'm doing the speed. It's doing the steering, it's starting to steer, and I feel like I'm going to hit that car, if I'm honest. I feel like I'm going to hit that Vauxhall Corsa. I'm keeping my eye on it. I'm going to lower this mirror a little bit. Okay, it's doing it. It's telling me to go forwards now, so I'll go forwards. Okay, now it's telling me to go backwards. So I'll go backwards, letting it do its job. It's got a little bar that goes up and down, so I know how far I've got to go. When the bar gets to the bottom, I've got to stop. Yeah, I was right. Last time it was going to hit that car, and it had to change its mind. Going back. Now it wants me to go forwards. And now it wants me to go backwards. And stop. Right, let's see what it looks like on the outside. Not bad. I'm quite straight. I think I'm a little bit closer to the right. And did it get the front in when it told me to stop? Just in the line. I've just found an opportunity to try out the parallel parking. So I'm indicating left. There's a space there. Let's see if it recognises it. Oh, is it telling me to stop? Yep, so no, it wants me to go forwards a bit more. Now stop, into reverse. I'm going to let it do the steering, and I'm going to do the pedals. Let this car go past first. And now let's see what it does. Starting to steer. The little bar on the dashboard's getting lower again and lower. When it gets to the bottom, I know I've got to stop. Here we go. Is it going to hit the curb? Let's have a look. Let's not curb these wheels. It looks fine at the moment. And keeping it slow. And now it's told me to stop. Then go forwards. And It wants me to go forward some more, although I don't think it's necessary. And stop, and it says park assist, stop, take over steering. Well, I could have stopped back there. Now I have to go back again, because I'm really close to that car in front now. Let's take a look outside and see how it's done. Not bad. Could be closer to the curb. I like to park a bit closer to the curb if I'm leaving my car for any amount of time, but it does work. This car makes a lot of sense. Well, actually, sometimes it can make a lot of sense. If you spend about £20,000 on one of these, you're going to get yourself a nice car. You're going to be able to tick some of those option boxes and get some of the features you want. And it's going to be a bargain, because for £20,000 you will be getting a car with the space and the features of a car that normally costs around about £25,000. However, if you decide to go for the top spec model with the most powerful engine and tick more or less all of the option boxes, then you're looking at around about £31,000, and that much money for one of these doesn't make a lot of sense. For that money, you can get yourself a car that feels more premium, that's more luxurious with similar features. So, as long as you're sensible with the trim level you choose and how many options you tick, this car is a bit of a bargain. I would just like to say thank you to Underwoods Skoda in Colchester for lending me this car and making this video possible. Underwoods are quite a big dealership. They deal with Skoda, Vauxhall, Mazda and Kia, and they also have a couple of used car places too. I've bought my own Mazda from them, and my neighbour has bought his Vauxhall from them, and I will say they do seem to look after you. If you think the video is helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to get my future videos. And until the next one, cheerio.